Alright everyone, Jill Stein had another publicity stunt moment the other day actually at Washington University. There was a campus protest there, of course, against Israel's actions in Palestine, and she showed up to deliberately get arrested, knowing full well arrests would be made, presumptively. She's done this before, actually. You remember the time that she was protesting Keystone Oil Pipeline, so she chained herself to a bulldozer at one point, and then they had to detain her, and she got arrested. And I don't think she ended up in the end. I think they fined her. Actually, they'll probably do the same here if there's any charges brought at all. She's done this habitually, and the reason why is think of the specific voting bloc most likely to favor a candidate like Jill Stein. Young, disillusioned, left-wing individuals. Well, going to a college campus and hanging out with the Palestine kids, it's kind of a no-brainer. She's playing it up to the people that she wants to vote for. This is, by the way, a really big fucking problem for Joe Biden. Maybe not in some place like Washington or California, but in some of the swing states, where you do have large universities as well, and they tend to attract a clientele that leans to the left, and they're not all out-of-state students, like a lot of the hippie-trippies that go to UVM. They're not from Vermont, for example. But there are Vermonters that are hippie-trippy as well, granola and Birkenstocks and weed every day. When she goes to, therefore, a state that's in play, and she, arouses the interest of a bunch of college kids who in many cases probably didn't know she existed until she showed up and said, "Hey, I'm running for president. I'm standing in solidarity with you and with Palestine," and blah, blah, blah. What happens is that she shaves a few more votes off of Joe Biden. People who naturally would be inclined to vote for him simply because he's not Orange Man say, "Wow, there is this cool old hippie grandma here that just got herself a fucking arrested. Yeah, I don't know, fight the power, man," and then they'll vote for her. When she does this and she gets in national headlines, then all the other students that are protesting, they see, "Oh, wow, presidential candidate, oh, Jill Stein, let's look into what she believes. Ah, that's basically me." I have a feeling it's going to become a problem. Joe Biden's really, and Cornel West too, he's more of the academic leftist. He's more of the leftist that the professor would vote for. Jill Stein's more the leftist that the student would vote for. Very good publicity stunt by her. I'm sure that it wins her a great deal of appeal among this particular voting bloc. As I've stated before, I believe that if the protest is peaceful and it's not impeding anyone from going to class or keeping anyone up at night who has to study for an exam, no rocks are being thrown, etc., they shouldn't send in the police to detain people. In some cases, what we're seeing, though, is property damage. We're seeing fights breaking out. We're seeing other problems, and sometimes harassment, which rises to the level of criminal harassment. Student with the yarmulke walks by and they all start shouting, racial slurs, epithets at them or something. Those should be broken up. Those are no longer lawful protests. They're not peaceful protests. They're not protected under the First Amendment. Insofar, though, as they are lawful, they should be left alone. Yeah, that includes on their own campus, as long as it's just students participating. If they're paying 50 grand a year to go to a university, and that's probably a lot more than that at a lot of these places, then why can't they sleep in a tent? I don't know. I don't see the problem with that. Oh my God, they're cluttering up the view of the campus green. Well, are they shouting racial slurs? Are they throwing bottles at you or something? No, they're just sitting there holding signs and chanting Free Palestine. That's not a criminal act. Certainly not a terroristic or violent one, so I would leave them alone. Also, they should have known who Jill Stein was and deliberately not arrested her just to drain her of attention if they really wanted to cause a stir. They chose not to do that. They took her in. She's not going to face any significant charges. She'll be able to post about it online. "Oh, look at me. This is video." She'll be proud of it. "This is video of me getting arrested for having solidarity with Palestine." Now, of course, it could be that a fight broke out beforehand and then she got arrested as part of what was then an unlawful assembly, but that nuance will, of course, be carefully left out and glossed over. I congratulate her. Optically speaking, she's actually a pretty good candidate. And if the Green Party had more funding available to actually let people know that it existed, I have no doubt that Jill Stein would be pulling in the same number of votes that Johnson did back in 2016. It probably would, get at least a couple percent in all of the states. That's probably not going to happen, but right now, we're in an election cycle, right? Where supposedly in the last election, Joe Biden managed to win by a couple 100,000 votes in a few sensitive states. We now have three off-the-chain candidates. We have Cornel West and Jill Stein, dedicated leftists, and RFK Jr., who's, you know, more general Democrat, but left the party. He's got a pulse, by the way. Much more of a pulse than any third party or independent candidate has had in quite some time. Then you add in Jill Stein and Cornel West catering to different elements of the far left that the Democrats desperately need. It's gonna, I mean, you could have a political bloodbath come November. It'll be very difficult for them to install enough ballot printers in enough places to go burr enough in order to wet ink the election, I think. I don't know that they'll be able to pull it off this time. I think that's why the lawfare is happening against Donald Trump. I don't think that they're confident that their election-stealing apparatus is capable of overriding the massively lopsided approval and voting intent of the public. Even if it were a one-on-one race and these third-party candidates petered out and didn't exist, I don't expect that it would really be a problem. I would expect that in the end, Trump would still probably win. But it's not a two-way race. In the polling where you have a five-way matchup, which is what you actually have, Trump fares actually a little bit better. Some of that gets reabsorbed towards the end, by the way. People who say, well, I want to vote for Cornel West, they'll be like, yeah, but he's polling at 2% maybe, and that'd be on a good day. Well, yeah, but which of the two candidates that have a possibility of winning do I hate less, basically? There's going to be millions of people that have to make that decision. Do I stand by my principles and vote for the candidate I think is best, or do I vote for the lesser of two evils that I think can actually win? There's going to be a lot of people that are going to scratch. I have a feeling the lines will be a little bit longer at some polling places as people freeze like deer in headlights. And they're like, huh, well, this choice fucking sucks. I know that I should probably back the candidate who's less shitty that's actually inevitably going to win, but I really don't like them. I'm just voting for them because they're less shitty. It's a terrible situation. I personally have a strong preference for Donald Trump. I don't see him as shitty. But there are undecided voters that are, you know, in that particular position. They're going to have to figure that out. Jill Stein will endear herself to certain elements of the far left. She's not trying to cater to anyone that supports any right-wing cause. She's a dedicated leftoid just like Cornel West, just, again, of a different style. She's just going to play it up to the only people that would ever conceive of voting for her. That's her voting bloc. The student Palestine protesters are ripe fodder for the Green Party. So yeah, a great publicity stunt. Got herself arrested. I mean, if you're not going to face any significant charges, you know, who cares? It's free publicity. That's about all. Peace out.